We still won. We'll get the fireworks. Why not? A win gets fireworks. A win gets fireworks. I don't care what it looks like.
I should have changed the title to the Tyrese Proctor file. That's what I should have changed. That was the title I had saved when
Oh shit, my bad. I'm turning that off. There you go.
that was the title I had saved when we were down 4.
I'll change it to the Apple for the podcast. I can change the title and optimize it a little bit.
I'll change it on YouTube after. Where the comments at? Hold on.
I don't know where the comments are at. There we go.
Okay.
Coming up.
Monty in the building.
There we go. Oh, Bruce Wayne is back. Yes. Our favorite UNC fan has returned. He's here. Shout out, Bruce. Anybody who shows up on a regular basis, you know.
I'm so happy the Twitter comments are back.
Yeah, I don't see them on the sidebar here.
There you do. It has an X next. This is a Twitter comment, Dan.
Yeah, I know. I'm not personally seeing them. Do I need to change something to see Twitter comments also?
Do you see the screen? Do you see?
I see when you post it on the bottom, but I don't see it on the sidebar. Like I see. Be. Oh man, they're not loading for me for whatever reason.
You'll be all right.
Yeah, I'll be fine. I don't need them as long as you keep posting them, which you're good about. So, oh god, the first one I see is.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, correct.
No.
Yeah, you let that go real fast, didn't you?
Yeah, I was just clicking. My finger slipped.
Please click it.
Hold on, let me tweet this out.
Oh, now I see him on the Twitter live feed. Hey, everybody! I love that people are on Twitter. Go to the YouTube also. Hit the thumbs up.
Or you can stay on Twitter.
Huh?
Or you can stay on Twitter. It don't matter at this point.
Yeah, I know, but I like the metrics of just like seeing how many thumbs up happen on the YouTube. You know, I like getting more than any of the UNC podcasts on the YouTube, especially considering we'll do a little show with those guys this week. Spoiler hint.
Oh yeah, I forgot. See, I it completely left my mind that UNC is next week because of all this craziness.
Week from today. We're gonna have the guys from the Pod is the Roof podcast. We're gonna do a joint show. We have to figure out the logistics of it, but they're into it. They're into it.
Figure it out. Where's this intro so we could get started?
Yeah, let's go. Let's do it.
Trying not to score and everything. We got about 30 threes or something.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of felt that. We kind of feed off that energy.
This place is amazing. Like I really love Duke, and I love the atmosphere I'm in here.
Mark Williams, beast mode. Paolo first half, he had the cramping stuff. Fair enough. Beast mode.
I think that video just froze for us. Oh well, doesn't matter.
Yeah, I think it might have froze last time too, or I think it was delayed. This is great listening to the people who are only listening on Apple or Spotify.
Oh man, we got 300 in the spot on Twitter. Yeah, man. Where do we start?
Yes.
I see all the comments.
Yes.
Before. I guess the last moments of the game, there was a lot to discuss. Where do y'all want to start? Let me see what the comments. Where do y'all want to start? I want to start with the foul. We can start with the foul just to get out the way. Because
God,
let me see what the comments say. They taking a while. Let's start with the foul then.
Yeah.
Someone said Ryan Young. Why are we gonna start with? Someone said start with Flip. Oh,
I mean,
yes,
the foul.
Let's go with the foul.
I mean, there's nothing to say. It was a foul. Like, put it this way. Imagine, I want anyone who is in the comments or who is listening to this who is not a Duke fan. Okay,
you know they're in here.
No, Bruce Wayne is here. Let's say there's somebody here. Let's say somebody is listening to this, okay, who is not a Duke fan. Imagine your team, right, at home, and put yourself in the exact opposite shoes, right, where your point guard is going up, gets hit on the crossover, gets hit again, makes contact on the shot, and no foul is called. Do you feel like that is the right no call in that scenario if it is your team, right? Because I don't think you do. I think anyone who is being honest acknowledges. And the thing that kills me is that the small clip on Field of 68 ignores the heavy contact on the crossover. That's where the foul honestly should have been called in the first place, and they didn't call it. But also, since he made both free throws, it wouldn't have mattered either way, right? So, it's a foul. I'm the first one to say that that I want guys to play. I don't want the refs to interfere, but it's a foul. It just is. I don't have much to say. I'm not even saying that Duke played well enough to win the game. They didn't. We were fortunate to be in that position, considering that Duke should have been in a larger lead at that point. But It's also a foul, and then Proctor, to his credit, made the free throws, right? He didn't have to make the free throws. He could have missed. He missed some last game, right? Like, he could have missed some free throws. He didn't. Duke wins the game. That's it.
That's a foul during the regular flow of the game. It's a foul right there. It's multiple fouls, in my opinion, kind of like Russ alluded to. The whole clip shows him getting kind of fouled the whole way. They could have called it earlier, but it's a foul, man. I just don't understand what the uproar is. And then people said, oh, he got Duke fouled on the full court pass. Like, let's be real, bro. Let's be real. Let's be real, man. But yeah, I just don't see it other way. Kind of like I tweeted, shoot, Duke deserved that call. Whether it was a bad call, good call, we deserved that call after last year, or flip against UVA anyway. So we will take that. That was a foul. Next topic.
Yeah, Brad Brownell apparently is saying some butthurt shit about it too.
Oh, let me see.
Apparently, he said we'd led in the last couple of minutes here before and got really close. We got this one to 1 second and had it taken from us. This is from Sports Talk SC.
Brad Brownell, man, I expect better from you, bro.
If that's actually a real quote, then that's a disappointing quote from him. I also think it's pretty funny that Rock Chalk Blog is talking about Duke getting home court official help. Considering Kansas has the most blatant home court cheating in history. Like, Duke has benefited from a kind home court whistle. I'm not sitting here denying that. Like, we generally benefit from a kind home court whistle over a large period of time. That's a given. That's a given for any school, and it's definitely official as it pertains to the big name programs. But Kansas is number one with a bullet, dude. So come on. We already had TCU cheated out of a win earlier this year with Kansas.
I forgot to do an intro. Obviously, this is the Crazy Cast. Shout out to the Field of 68. Bruce Wayne, yes, for those listening, we're planning on doing a collab this week with the UNC pod for the game. Kind of like, the OGs followed us on Twitter and, been following our streams for a long time, kind of like we did with Kentucky. But that was during the pandemic. Oh, we did do one before the Kentucky game too. But yeah, that should be fun. I guess we could start talking about the actual game. I guess let's start with the positive, because we have a lot of negative to harp on. I'm sorry. That's just is what it is. The positives, obviously, I think the two positives are Jared McCain and Tyrese Proctor, but specifically for me, Jared McCain, this was a game. I've been tweeting it kind of like the past week or two. Jared McCain just makes winning plays. He's a winning basketball player. And, no matter what, if he has a bad game, if he's 2 of 7 from 3, 2 of 9 from 3, he's going to make winning plays at the end of the game. And the scoring was great. That's what he does. He could score the ball, but the extra possessions he created, the steals at the end of the game, that's something you can't teach, especially when it seemed like we were heading toward a knockout. The team, I think it was Flip, missed 2 free throws. At that point, you think it's game over. But Jared McCain continuously, fought, got a steal, gave us an extra possession, did it again on the other end with the steal and the layup. Hey, man, that kid is legit, man. I hope we get a second year. Because that kid is not playing like he's going to be back at school next year. But yeah, Russ, what you got to say about Jared?
The only thing I have to say about him is the same thing that I've said a few times, which is it's none of his draft stuff when it comes to me projecting whether he'll be back next year or not. None of it has to do with how well he plays this year. And all of it has to do with, is a guy at his height with his athleticism a realistic lottery pick after this particular one season, right? You could make the argument, especially in a weak draft class, you could make the argument. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I know exactly what NBA teams want.
Yeah, this is a bad draft class.
It's a bad draft class. But generally speaking, dudes that are 6'3" with marginal athleticism, I think is a reasonable thing to say, have to be like the best shooter in the draft. You know what I mean? Like in order to be a high, like 20 type pick, generally
I don't agree with that fully. I think
in the last few years, you don't think?
I think you have to be he is a good shooter. I think you have to be a well-rounded guard. And I think he is that. Like you could take it to the hoop, finish through contact, you have a second level game, and obviously you could shoot the ball off the dribble for one.
I agree with all that. Are you concerned about his athleticism as it pertains to playing defense on the perimeter at the NBA level?
No, because I think he competes enough. I don't mean to compare him to this player, but they're very similar. Maybe the other player is a little bit stockier. But Jalen Brunson doesn't have any of those traits you said.
Brunson's also he's a pure point guard and not a shooting guard.
I do think Jared has more skill on the ball. We just haven't seen it because we don't need it from him. I think we have too many conflicting guys.
I agree, but in terms of the draft, we haven't seen it. And I do think, like, to some extent that will matter in terms of how highly theoretically he could be drafted. Again, nothing that I'm saying is to go against the idea that he is an elite college basketball player. Like, I think if he came back, I tweeted this in the middle of the game. I think if he came back, he'd be a player of the year candidate next season. Like he has everything that you want in a college basketball player. My only question is, does he think that he will make more money and have a great chance at that second contract, that rookie extension, going after this year more than after a subsequent year? And nobody knows the answer to that. It'll be Jared either taking a leap of faith in himself based on wanting to go pro right away, or how much he's loving Duke and wanting to come back to Duke. It's all his decision at the end of the day. I think there's no wrong choice for him to make. But I do think that if he came back, players like him contain a lot of upside in terms of climbing, especially considering that next year's draft class. All right, Zion's texting me to pivot from NBA talk. Fair enough.
Yeah. It's too deep now.
Say that, dude. You don't need to.
Yeah, I'm just like we get too deep into NBA talk at this point.
My point being, if he came back, I think there is a complete justification for him coming back. If he wants to go, that's also fine. Sure.
People are telling us to talk about Flip, so I guess we can just talk about Flip. We'll get to Tyrese later. Yeah. So where do we begin, man? Where do we begin? Flip, man.
Can I begin with the positive and then we can get to the negative? Because the negative, I think people want to talk about.
Yeah, sure. His defense. Go ahead, talk about it, Mr. A-. A Flip. Remember the A.
Yeah, I know.
I saw a lot of tweets. I saw a lot of
A
tweets
at the
this
time.
game.
A at the time. A at the time.
He wasn't
Things
an A at the
change.
time, brother.
Well,
it was a
fair
false
enough.
grade. Go
Fair
ahead.
Yeah, I mean, he played good defense. And I think it's especially, and we've talked about this before on this show, we don't have a better option right now. So, like, at the end of the day, even if he's struggling offensively, like, we need his defense, period, to be competitive in a game like this. Like, you know, I don't think it's a coincidence that on the plus minus side, he was a 9 today, and Sean Stewart and Ryan Young combined for a -9. Like, you know, not their day. Defensively, Flip's day. Offensively, man, Flip is really struggling right now, and he's been struggling for a few games now, and it's really hard to overlook. Again, we've talked about some of the problems that we've had with it, the looking for contact rather than looking to finish, letting it seem like the frustration is getting to him more than motivating him. It looks like it's just like taking the wind out of his sails. Those are not things that you want. I agree with John that I think he can get out of it. And look, at the end of the day, he made the big play that we really needed offensively down the stretch. I was surprised we went to him given the game that he was having at that point, but also, you know, when you're Shire and you believe this is your guy, even if he's having a bad game, you go to him. And we went to him. It paid off, and he delivered. And so in that respect, and you know what? Also, even though I know he fouled out on it, when PJ Hall got that close to the rim, him making sure that his foul was hard enough that PJ had no chance of making that basket, so that it was only 2 free throws instead of an and one, I think was also a good foul, even if it was a 5th foul on his part. So yeah, I'm worried. I'm certainly worried. I definitely don't think he's a realistic ACC Player of the Year candidate at this point anymore.
Oh, now you don't believe. If we review that pod that you had that you thought Ryan had the craziest takes, your takes on Flip look kind of crazy at this point.
Sure, considering we've played 3 more games and he's had 3 bad games consecutively. Yes, I agree. It's aged like old milk. I get it. but we also, it doesn't change the fact that the team needs him. The team needs him and needs him to deliver. And we're going to keep going to him, and we're going to need 34 minutes of him a game, every game, if we can, going forward still, because of what he brings defensively. So if people want to throw him completely under the bus, dude, I get it. He's not been good recently. He hasn't. And the numbers back that up. Especially the last 4 or 5 games, the numbers, his numbers have plummeted. Like, his analytics have plummeted. His on-off numbers have plummeted. Like, that's not a coincidence. It matches the eye test.
But I mean, I feel like I feel like defensively, obviously, like you touched on, I think he was good tonight, first half. PJ Hall was pretty much invisible the first half.
Yeah,
but PJ Hall finished with let me see what PJ Hall.
He finished with 19 and 10 on 5 of 13 shooting
after 2 of 9. So he finished 3 or 4. A lot, got to the free throw line a lot. Obviously,
if he was at 2 and 4, then yes. Or if he was at 2 and 9, then yes. In his last 4 baskets, he made 3, and he certainly got to the line a couple of times later on down the stretch as well.
Yeah, yes. And that's what we need from Flip. Like, no one's saying even if these high level games you struggle early, at some point you got to turn it on for us. At some point when we're struggling to score, I mean, Duke looked ugly. It looked ugly for us offensively. Like, if not for Tyrese Proctor playing, having some hero ball shots, Jared McCain, doing what he does offensively, this team would have been down 15, and that shouldn't happen. Like, and it was kind of my point all season. He just doesn't come through for us when we need it the most. Obviously, he had the big shot. I give him credit for that, But when
Yeah.
we are dying, we are flailing, we are gasping for air. We are supposed to have our All-American step up in those moments, and he doesn't. And
He missed 2 free throws, and then we got a rare offensive rebound, and then we gave it to him again, if I recall correctly, and he missed kind of a bunny.
Yeah, missed a bunny.
The two things that have killed me this year about his play in general, outside of the early fouls, like I just mean exclusively offensively, the finishing at the rim has not been what you would expect from a guy of his size. And then the other thing and the other thing is the rebounding. I mean, today he had 4 rebounds. That's unacceptable. Like we got smashed on the boards. We lost the boards by 9 today. Like our field goal percentage, we were 41.2 field goal percentage, 42.9 from 3. That means we shot worse from 2 than from 3, which is pretty crazy. And Clemson shot 38.3% field goals, 30.4 from 3. I mean, like, we shot notably better than them, but they got 6 more assists than us, and they got 9 more rebounds than us, and they even committed 2 more turnovers than us. Like, there's no reason when they are shooting worse than us and have more turnovers than us for the game to be that close. Like,
I mean, it was very simple, and I tweeted during the game, like, we were finding every way to lose. Like, we lost the turnover battle, at least from what I saw. Maybe we came back at the end of the game, but we were losing the turnover. Oh, we did. We were losing the turnover battle. We were getting smoked on the offensive glass. We're having defensive lapses, and we're missing free throws. 95% of that time, when you have all those things, you're going to lose the game. Somehow we found a way to win this game. Thank God. But we found every way to lose. And a lot of people will say, I see people say, talking about Shire. Shire, I don't think he had a great game. But I don't think the players were like like we were missing free throws. You can't blame a coach for missing that many free throws. Like, you can't blame a coach for missing that many bunnies at the rim. You can blame a coach for, rotations, and even, at the end of the game, I didn't love us I know we had to put Ryan back in for guarding PJ Hall, but Ryan also got switched on to Joe Girard to give an easy bucket. So, like,
switching that killed me. That killed me when they said, "Oh, they're subbing in Ryan Young for Jeremy Roach for defensive reasons." Jeremy Roach this season has been such a better defender than Ryan Young. Like, and I know Jeremy's beat up right now. I know he's hurt. I know he's not 100%. But, like, Jeremy knows where to be so well. And even though I do believe that Ryan knows where to be, you can't put Ryan on a guard ever, or on a perimeter player. It doesn't even need to be a guard. If you put him on a big man out on the perimeter, he can't handle it. Like, he is good. Ryan is really good in drop coverage. He is really good inside at taking up space and occupying space. On the outside, that is not Ryan's strength at all. And it put him in a position where he had to guard Joe Girard on the outside, which was the most obvious thing. With the second they announced that, if I could have tweeted fast enough, they're going to give it to a guard and switch it on to Ryan Young, and it's going to be 2 points or 3 points. We were lucky it was 2 points, honestly. That's a huge gaffe, and that's also a problem in general, right? That's a problem on the season. What do you do in lineups if your best defenders can't be on the floor because they're either injured or foul trouble or both? And our solution tends to just be put in somebody that can't necessarily play that role, but play the exact same way. And I don't think that's a winning. I think people are overreacting, by the way, like Weave Truth saying he's a Division II center. He's clearly not that. He's clearly better than that. He's just very good at what he does. Like, which is he's a Big Ten center, right? He's a Big Ten 20 to 25 minute a game center. He can play drop coverage. He plays physical. He scraps. He cannot defend the perimeter at all. But he is good inside. He got as many rebounds as Flip, despite playing half as many minutes as Flip today. No, that's not quite true. He played 17. Flip played 24. But, like, Ryan is good at what he does. We just ask him to do more than what he should do. And Nazir, I think Ryan's better than a mid-major center. I think he is a high major center. He's just not he's not a high level in terms of like high minutes. He's not a high role level player at the high major.
But I mean, for
He's a
me,
bench center. Yes, I agree.
I don't even think that's the conversation that he's what level of a center he is. I just think at points like the thing that was killing me tonight was the getting the ball under the rim. Number one, that blown layup was crazy. Then the second time he would pump fake, put the ball down, and I think he got stripped. Like, you were supposed to be a veteran big man. Like, you were supposed to be the stabilizer. And if you are such a low post scorer that you are, like that your reputation is, in moments like that, you cannot look like a freshman. And he looked like a freshman at points. That was only like my biggest thing with Ryan. But I do agree that we had to play him at points because, I mean, Sean struggled tonight. Sean struggled tonight, and you saw his teammates kind of get on him. Like, get on. I saw Tyrese get on him a little bit, and I saw Jeremy try to, keep his confidence up. Sean would be pouting, Jeremy tried to clap. And it's just like, he's going to have moments like that because he's a freshman. And like we said, he's a freshman that doesn't play often. So sometimes he will be a deer in the headlights. But, I think that's where we can blame Shire in that, right? Is not developing these guys for these moments. Like a guy like TJ Power, I get it. This is probably not the game for him. But we need to develop a bench at this point because I think now, especially with Jeremy out, we can't trust anybody off the bench to be consistent.
Yeah, it's broken record at this point though, Z, because we have people who say, well, at this point it's too late to develop a bench, and they might be right. They might be right. But then that's a failure of the staff over time. That's a failure of the staff early in the season to not develop the bench more, or to, give them more opportunity to fail. I admit that I missed the Sean Stewart minutes today for the most part, so I can't really comment on it. But also, we said before this game, this was not a matchup for Ryan Young. It just wasn't. Like, that was a given from the word go, and we still played him 17 minutes, and we played Sean 7. Right? Remember that game that Ryan Young had such a terrible first half, like an abysmal, horrible, I can't play him first half, and then in the last 4 minutes of the game, he made a couple of really key plays, and we were like, oh shit, like, okay, here we go. This is why Ryan Young's out there. You have to give Sean Stewart some minutes like that, even if they're dodgy, because you have to let him, you have to give him multiple opportunities. If the second he makes a couple of mistakes in a row, you just never see him again for the rest of the game, the bench will never be ready for March. It just never will. And at this point, I tweeted this too, and people don't want to like hear this, but like, our resume is already teetering on the brink. It is really, really dicey. It's teetering on the brink.
Oh man, this would have killed
it. This would have killed it 100%. If we had lost it, the regular season is a wrap. To some extent. I hate to say it, but it's true. At this point, we need, for the end of the year, we need health. First and foremost, we need health. And second of all, we do need some confidence in younger players. We do. We need to play 8 guys. We can't play 7 guys. We need 8 guys, 8.5 guys, really. And we're not playing those guys. So, like, if you asked me, is it better if we fight and scrap and scrape and we get a 4 seed, but we're not healthy and we only have 6.5 players that we can play? Or is it better for us to be a 6 or 7 seed and have a deeper bench and be healthy? I don't know the answer to that without seeing what the matchups would be in the tournament. It's not a great situation either way. It's bad. I'm not sitting here and pretending it's good. But we need the bench to be ready, and we need full health. If we lack either of those things, it's going to be a short march, I'm afraid.
Yeah, and like it's tough because obviously Jeremy's not healthy,
Yeah.
and
He looked
you
bad.
need him to
He
be
looked
healthy
bad.
for March. Yeah, he didn't look great tonight, and I was surprised he really played today. Personally, I still would have sat him today. I know we still had a close game, but it's the long run at this point, and risking him getting hurt even more in these
I agree.
games is dangerous. Is
I agree.
because if we lose Jeremy for the season's over. y'all better get ready for Cooper because season's over at that point.
Yeah.
So I think we just got to be careful. And the fact we don't have reliable players after him is kind of that's on our staff, like you said. So it'll be interesting to see what happens Monday because this is a quick turnaround, and it's traveling to Virginia is not that far, but it's still the fact of traveling and playing a game.
We also always lose there. We always lose there.
It's going to be a crazy environment, and this was not a good performance at all. Not a good performance at all.
We had 0 Jalen Blake's minutes tonight. Jalen Blake's was.
I was surprised. I was surprised about that.
Was he hurt?
No, he's healthy.
I can't believe we played 25 minutes of Jeremy with him looking like that and risking our season when Jalen Blake's is there. I'm not saying that Jalen Blake's can deliver the threat of scoring that Jeremy does. Obviously Jeremy is just being used out there as a bit of a decoy, right? Like he wasn't being asked to do a lot on offense other than keep the defense honest. I get in that respect, but he couldn't defend. Like he's not mobile at all.
Yeah.
So all it takes is Jeremy he fell over with 4 minutes left or whatever after one play. I was concerned it was a wrap for Jeremy. Every time he falls over, we're gonna be like it's a wrap unless he's healthy.
Yeah.
I don't understand. To Ernie B's point, I don't understand why this team doesn't press more. I don't understand why we don't push the tempo more. There are a lot of questions, man. I just think.
Yeah, I don't understand why we're not pressing. I thought we were showing us beginning of the year that okay, we're going to be a pressing team, and to have so many guards and not athletic dudes, but at least small guys that can press. We don't do it at all.
Caleb Foster tonight was, again, more or less a non-entity, right? Non-impact player. Again, he's a freshman. I don't really blame him for that. He's learning. It's a process. Freshmen get a pass from me, especially in January, early February. You're figuring shit out. I get it. But you know what Caleb can do is he can defend on the ball. Off ball, he's very dicey, as most freshmen are. On ball, he's got size. He's got IQ. McCain gets into players on ball. Obviously, Jalen Blakes gets into players on ball. Proctor gets into players on ball. There must be a reason, and I'm just not smart enough to see it, right? Because I'm not getting paid millions of dollars to be a coach. So I don't know the answers to these questions. Maybe it's because Flip. Maybe it's because we have Flip, and Flip already has to run a lot, and they're trying to conserve him a little bit because we don't have stuff. I mean, Sean Stewart on the ball is pretty good, dude. Generally, he's been good on the ball, and he's got size. I don't know what I don't get it. I don't get it.
Who's the tweet? Adrian, who tweeted this? For the listeners, it says you see the tweet saying anyone wanting Sean Stewart.
I have a suspicion.
25 or under. Ooh.
It's probably somebody that's 60 or older. Zion.
60 Blue Devil Nation. That guy.
I've had a couple of drinks today. I don't give a shit. Let's go.
Man, the worst guy on the Twitter sphere. Respectfully or disrespectfully.
You had the worst guy
disrespectfully, all disrespect. But yeah, I mean, I feel like we saw last game why there's value to playing him. No one is saying Grant. No one is saying he has to play 15 minutes, 20 minutes. 10 minutes a game is fine. You got to use him wisely. I did think I don't know how much we saw the Mark Flip Sean lineup tonight. I don't think we saw it at all. Maybe because Flip was in foul trouble, but that was a great defensive lineup last game. And I think we needed to tap back more into that because you leave Sean on an island sometimes, especially manning the 5. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. Sometimes he gambles, but, if we use him in the right situation, I feel like that lineup is a good situation for him. We should play like he should be on the court, especially when we don't have a bench. Duke form OT. I don't know what it is, respectfully.
Duke just got obliterated inside. I mean, like Clemson took their field goal attempt rate tonight 5.6% above league average. Their percentage of shooting at the rim 10.1% above league average. When you combine that with the fact that we got smoked on the glass, like that's just such a bad combination of things. That's not a winning recipe. I realize that Duke wants to just get back and play transition, so we're not trying to hit the offensive glass at all. But we lost on the defensive glass, and Clemson's a good defensive rebounding team, or a good offensive rebounding team. But I mean, they got all 11 offensive rebounds today. Like, what are we doing on the defensive glass if we're allowing them to get 11 offense? Like, that's insane to me. Like,
yeah.
And again, that's where Sean Stewart, just even the potential of Sean Stewart plays. Like I'm not saying it would have gone well. Maybe we play him more and we lose. I don't know, but we have to play him more for March. We have to. Like
we do not, like right now. We do not have a bench. Like we're lucky enough to, I guess, bring.
We have 6 players, and we have 6 players and Ryan Young. We have 6 players, and then matchup dependent, we have Ryan Young, and that's it. We're not playing Jalen Blakes consistently. We're not playing Sean Stewart consistently. We're barely playing TJ Power. We're just not playing them at all. So I don't know what the point is. We're going to end up. What's funny is so many. People aren't going to be happy that I'm saying this. A lot of people said because we were ranked so highly preseason, because we returned a bunch of people were like, "Oh, that's kind of like UNC last year, huh?" And we were like, nah, it's not like UNC. But you know what? One of the worst things UNC did last season was didn't play the bench at all. You know what I mean? They played no bench last year at all.
That's why they all transferred. But
that's why they all transferred. And I tell you what, Duke is going to have a not insubstantial amount of transfers this offseason. I would be surprised if that's not the case. Like I'm not saying I wish it happens. I don't want it to happen. I want us to return players. And I'm not saying I know that players are transferring. Again, I don't know. But if the number is fewer than 3, I would be stunned. I'd be stunned. Grant is right. We have to have Stewart ready in case we face some physical SEC team. But more than that, honestly, Grant, it also comes down to starters. Like Flip has to get us 15 and 9 in that game at minimum on decent efficiency. You have to have Mark Mitchell healthy in that game. You have to have Jeremy Roach healthy in that game. Like part of the problem with last year's loss to Tennessee was the starters weren't there. We didn't have Mark, and then that kind of was that. I don't know. There's just a lot of questions, man. And, UNC winning again tonight, obviously they struggled, but it was on the road in a tough place to win.
UNC is legit, man. I got nothing else for them, bro.
I know.
I tried to find the loopholes, bro. At this point, bro, they're winning every road game. Every road game. Even when they see
home games, they're blowing teams out. And the home games they're blowing teams out. Duke is not. Duke's not blowing out teams at home. Why? Why not? Well, you could ask yourself a few questions about that. You could say maybe it's particular players. You could say it's the coaches. You could say it's some combination. You could say it's roster construction. I'd say that falls on coaches, roster construction. But, there's a lot there are a lot of questions to be had. And again, Duke down to 15th and KenPom on Torvik, we're abysmally low. we are not in good shape on we're 26th in Torvik, which honestly like feels a little more correct than 15th if we're being real.
Yeah, I don't even know. I don't care about none of that.
He projects us as a 5 seed. Would you project us as higher than a 5 seed right now?
No, we look like a 7 seed right now, truthfully.
That's what I'm saying. Like 26 feels more right than 15.
A lot of what I'll be very honest. If college basketball adopted we're not going to rank teams until January 1st, that would affect the whole landscape of college basketball, because even our team like us right now, we're eating off the fact, even with the AP poll and all that, we're eating off the fact that we were ranked number 2 in preseason. We are very much eating off of that. Baylor was a good win, but outside of that, it hasn't been great for us.
I'll say, just to do a slight defense, so what I said, we're 26th in Torvik for the season. January 1st and forward, I just looked it up because I was like, well, clearly January 1st and forward, we're going to be terrible. We're 28th. We're not abysmal, because that Pittsburgh game, I think, like elevated us pretty substantially. I'm going to look up January 10th and on that. Oh boy. I'm scrolling, dude. Yeah. January 10th and forward, we are 89th, right? Like that's, and that covers our last 4 games, right? That covers the last 2.5 weeks. We're 89th in that span. That feels right. Duke has not played well in the last 2.5 weeks. We played really badly.
Kansas is not eating off that barley, because they're playing in a tough conference, a way tougher conference, and they do have probably more signature wins than us.
Kansas in the last 2.5 weeks, they're 3-3. Right. And granted, we are 4-1 in the span that they are 3-3. But I guarantee they don't have a loss. Well, they have the West Virginia loss. That's tanking them to some extent. But their wins in that stretch are definitely going to be better. And furthermore, they are, what did I just look up? They're 17th in the same span that we're 89th. I mean, like, that's because they beat Cincinnati, they beat Oklahoma. Honestly, that includes the UCF loss too. So if you include their 2 worst losses of the season and today's loss, they are still 17th, because all 3 of them were on the road and none of them were to an abysmal ass team at home like our loss was. Yeah. That tanks your resume. I tried to tell people how bad that was, and they're like, 2 starters though, and it's like, yeah, that's true. But you have to win. You have to win. There's no excuse.
Yeah. At some point, we gotta look at reality. You should be, if you are a national championship team, I get 2 starters are out, but you should still be able to win those type of games. Like it's not. There's nothing to excuse those type of losses at that point. But
Duke in the last 6 games, we're 1-5 against the spread. I mean, like we are really underperforming from what people would expect in the last month, and that's not promising. I mean, like we were all hoping that the Georgia Tech Arkansas like swoon was the bad part, but like the bad part might be this week. That might be the bad part.
I will say though, like I see I've seen it all Twitter all day. I've seen it on these comment sections talking about, UNC, we're going to get blown out by 20. As I said last episode, the rivalry doesn't work like that, bro. You could be struggling all you want, and that day you could somehow win that game. It's very that rivalry is very unscripted. So we're going to lose by 20. It just don't work like that. We've seen
teams rarely lose by that much in the rivalry. It just so rarely happens. Yeah, I would expect that we would fight. I mean, if you don't fight, then I think that speaks volumes for the team.
Yeah.
But I to fight.
Yeah, if we get blown out, then there's an issue with the team. there's an
Yeah.
issue with the team. There's a big
And,
problem with this team.
I see this comment here from Weave Truth. Kyle hurt, Jeremy hurt, Mark hurt, Tyrese hurt. That ain't excuses. Yeah, but you know what? You know what the problem is with that though is that the resume doesn't care. Like the resume is what it is. Like if every team has injuries. I know that there are a couple of teams that don't have injuries, but like every team has guys that get nicked up, that get beat up, and that's why you develop a bench first and foremost, is so then that's not a problem. And second of all, the other teams that are hurt aren't losing to teams that are so inferior to them, like Pittsburgh at home or Georgia Tech on the road. Like Georgia Tech has won one game at home in conference. One. To us. They lost to Boston College. They lost to Notre Dame. They lost to Virginia. They lost to Pittsburgh. They've only beat Duke minus Tyrese Proctor. The same Duke minus Tyrese Proctor that beat Baylor. So I don't accept that the loss of Tyrese Proctor is the only we clearly lost to Georgia Tech because we were down Tyrese Proctor. Neutral court, we beat Baylor. Baylor is 5 times better than Georgia Tech. Like we just can't make excuses. Like we can acknowledge that there are injuries that are diminishing our upside, but those are not excuses for the losses. They're not excuses for the underperformance, and they're also a practical reality of the seeding that we're going to end up with at the end of the day. And the seeding is going to be bad. It's not going to be what Duke fans expect.
Right. So moving on, I guess we don't have to preview UNC because we already got to do plenty of that. But specifically Monday, Virginia Tech. You thinking we win this game?
No, I'm not. You know what? I'm gonna say this just so it's a jinx against me, Zion, because it's always been bad when I say this. Put your mortgage on it, dude. We're not winning Monday. Like there's no way. We have lost 5 of 6 at Castle in Blacksburg. We've lost 5 of the last 6. And the game in 2015, the 7th game, we barely won. It was in overtime, right? We don't win there. We tend to not win there. So what about this team has given you the confidence that we would win against this Virginia Tech team at Virginia Tech, right? Like, and if somebody wants to say in the comments why they have confidence that this Duke team will beat Virginia Tech at Virginia Tech when a series of much better Duke teams has won at Virginia Tech, then I'm dying to hear it. I'd love for Duke to win at Virginia Tech. I'd be over the moon. I'm rooting for it. I'll be there with bells on. But I don't see it happening, especially given that the next game is at UNC. Like, generally speaking, over the years, the game before a UNC game, we struggle because we're looking ahead. We can't help it. It's human nature. So when you combine that with the fact that Virginia Tech, we're 1-5 in the last 6 games there, I mean, put your mortgage on it, baby.
Yeah.
What do you think, Zion?
Let me see Virginia Tech's last couple games, just out of curiosity. Because I'm going to pick Duke. I'm not going to lie. I'm about to pick Duke.
Virginia Tech's last couple of games have been against bad teams. They beat State at State, and then they beat Boston College at home, but not by a lot. I actually watched that game. That was a pretty unimpressive performance. And then they absolutely massacred Georgia Tech, obviously.
Today, they smoked Georgia Tech. That's a bad sign. That is a bad sign.
Yeah, they're not sleeping, that's for sure.
Couture is having a game on Monday because we already know he already come. He don't even have to have a good season. Like, I don't even think he's having a good season, but we know Hunter Couture is coming on Monday.
You know, dude, he is having a good season. You know what he's shooting from the 3-point line in conference play so far, Zion?
What, 48%?
53%. 53%, and that's on volume. That's on like 4.5 shots a game. You know, that's a decent volume for that. Look, Padula and Couture, I think, are going to go off. It'll be an interesting game in the sense that Virginia Tech wants to play a true big man. Like they want to play. They want to start two guys that are 6'9" and 6'10". So do we expect to see some Flip and Ryan Young on Monday? Absolutely. But I tell you what, Mike Young is a smart coach, and he'll just he'll drag Ryan Young out to the perimeter and let Padula and Couture cook him if Duke doesn't adjust and have a game plan prepared. Then that's Cookville. That's roasty toasty is what that is.
I'll say this, and the fact they do play a true big man, I'm predicting a Flip classic. Flip classic.
This is the sort of game. This is the sort of game where if you want to show people that the last 4 to 5 games that he's played that have been not good, if he wants to show people like, I forget, maybe the really big game was in that stretch. I don't remember, but generally speaking, that range of games he has not played well. If he wants to show people, hey, I'm still worthy of the conversation, like I'm still worthy of all-American talk, I'm still all these things, then when you go to Virginia Tech, you have to beast. You have to beast. Yeah, Jonathan cracking some jokes in the comments about Flip's layup making. He's got to make his shots at the rim when they're starting guys they're going to play 6'9", 6'10". At the 4 and the 5. They're going to play 6'9", 6'10". So, you know, if they're going to do that, then Flip, being the tallest guy on the floor, the biggest guy on the floor, generally speaking, you have to make your layups. If switches happen because Duke's going to run some actions too, then you got to get them the ball. You got to, if he gets Tyler Nickel down there or whatever, put Tyler Nickel in the hurt locker, man. Like you've got to do it. But
yeah, I expect them. I expect them to give us a classic Flip night where he drags their bigs out of the lane too. But
how do you do?
Let me see.
I'm looking up right now, dude. Last year he scored 29 points, 10 rebounds at Virginia Tech, even though we lost.
And that was a better front line.
And that was a better front line because they had Mutz down there and Basile. Then at Duke, Flip only did 12 and 3, but also that game we had a very big lead at the beginning of the second half, and we just didn't need him. So I don't want to read too much into that. I generally agree. This should be a game where Flip beasts out.
I mean, he has to. This is a week, and someone said, I think it was Bruce, Armando Baker is going to cook him. That's not going to happen. But this is a week he has to prove himself. We need him on Monday, and then Saturday is going to be the game at Carolina against Baycott. I think this is going to be his kind of litmus test. Or how we going to evaluate really how your season, it ain't going to be an A-. It's going to be based off of these two games right here. If you're getting an A- from my B+.
Yeah. I mean, Flip did well last year against UNC, obviously, but it was while Lively was playing. Although the second game at the Dean Dome, Lively didn't play that much due to foul trouble. It was mostly Flip. And Flip got 22 and 13. I mean,
Flip was down the stretch, especially at that game. I think he was.
Flip won us that game. Yeah. I mean, Flip won us that game. So he's clearly capable. He's been capable this whole time. That's the whole thing. I have so much faith that Flip can be the guy, and not just the guy. He can be the guy on a Final Four team. I completely believe that he can be the guy on a Final Four team. But his consistency has not been there this season. And so this is the week to do it, man. This is the week to do it. If you can go off on the road at Virginia Tech and at UNC, you're going to make a lot of money. And you're going to show the world that the last couple of weeks of very real struggles, you can leave them behind you. You can do that. I have faith in the man. I I do not see Flip coming back junior year.
No, that's not happening.
He'll also – I know we don't want to talk NBA, but he'll get drafted even if people are his struggles or whatever. Teams aren't going to be drafting him this year to be the best player on the team. They're going to be drafting him to be the third or fourth best player on the team. And like when you're a 4-man and you can do all the things that he can do, like imagine what Flip could do on this team if he was not the number 1 option, if he was the 4th option or whatever. Like he'd be dynamite. You know what I mean? So he'll be fine. And I think NBA scouts will see that.
Yeah. We'll see though. We'll see. Big week coming up. Big week.
Huge week.
We appreciate y'all for tuning in. We maybe be back. We'll be back Monday. We might have a lot of content next week because Monday, then possibly the Duke UNC show, then the UNC post game show. So we'll be active. We'll be active. So tap in with us. You know the drill. Subscribe, like, all that. On podcasts, on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and
hit that thumbs up. Thumbs up.
Hit that thumbs up on YouTube. No, you will not get no shout out, Bruce. But
you've gotten enough today, Bruce. Haven't you gotten enough today? You know what I mean?
Man. Yeah, man. You're getting way too many shout outs, man.
But he's here.
We appreciate y'all for tuning in. We'll catch you next week. Big week. Big week, man.
Sure. Oh God, let's pray, baby.
We get a thumbs up to end of the day.
We won. Let's go.